दिल्ली वासियों के लिए जो 5 फरवरी को वोट करने जा रहे हैं।
Hello and welcome to the Hindu special broadcast on Delhi Assembly elections. I'm Sobhana K. Nair, and I will be joined by my colleagues from Delhi and Chennai to decode the Delhi polls. Now, there are several questions that we will be answering. But before that, let me give you a preview of the election results. At 3 p.m., as per the Election Commission of India's website, BJP is leading on 48 seats, and the Aam Aadmi Party is a distant second at 22. As I said, there are many questions we will be answering in the course of this conversation. We will look into what worked for BJP and what worked against Aam Aadmi Party. But more importantly, what are the future implications of these results? Like, who will be the Delhi Chief Minister? What does it mean for AAP's national ambition? Where does the India bloc stand after this? And what will be the attitude of the allies towards the Congress, which remains a fringe player in Delhi politics? More than anything, this election, which was framed as a referendum by Arvind Kejriwal on his brand and Delhi model of governance, this election is about AAP's disastrous debacle. And therefore, I think I should first go to my colleague, senior correspondent Nikhil M. Babu, who has been closely covering up for several years now. Hi, Nikhil.
Hi, Shobna.
So, Nikhil, tell me, I believe you spent your morning at the Aam Aadmi Party office. Paint us a picture. What did it look like?
So even though it's a clean sweep for the BJP, it feels like the AAP didn't see it coming. Till yesterday they kept on saying that before the election, Kejriwal said that we are going to win 55 seats, 60 seats. It slowly started coming down to 45 seats. And even when we were talking to leaders off record yesterday, they were saying that we are going to comfortably win. We are going to anyway get 45 seats. And even the pessimistic ones were saying 40, 42. Nothing less than that. That's the least estimate. They were preparing for a win because they had set up a huge stage outside their party office. They had ordered sweets to be distributed. So I reached around 9, 10, and in that time also the BJP was leading, but it was not just round 1 or 2 at that time. So people are still hopeful, but the stages were empty, and by around 12-1, people started leaving, and even the 1 or 2 leaders that were there in the party office, no one like Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh, no one of the top 3 or top 5 were there in the party office, and people started leaving one by one. It's a very, very dull mood. This is like the third election probably I'm seeing the Aam Aadmi Party office, which has always been when they won in 2020 or Punjab in 2022, it's always dolls, sweets, colors being smeared on people's faces. Compared to that, it's very dull. No one is talking. I mean, leaders are pretty shaken because they did not expect this coming. That's a mood of party office at this point.
Obviously, they have a lot to mourn, considering the results. The fact that Arvind Kejriwal himself lost, Manish Sisodia, his former deputy, who has lost, and I believe a couple of cabinet ministers, including the party's one of the most visible faces, Saurabh Bharadwaj, has also lost. So, quickly, if you can tell me, what are your takeaways on what went wrong for the Aam Aadmi Party in this election?
Shobna, actually, to understand that, we need to understand a little bit about Delhi also. It's not a full state. It's basically half a state with, a lot of things under the control of the center government and also the lieutenant governor who is appointed by the center. So what we have seen is that, even the previous lieutenant governors like Anil Baijal or, Najib Jung for that matter, there has been always friction with the Aam Aadmi Party. But that escalated to a new levels when the current Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena took office in May 2022. Since then, we have seen the friction between the Aam Aadmi Party and the LG to levels that we've never seen before. And it's interesting to note that it was during V.K. Saxena's tenure that the whole so-called liquor scam in which top leaders, including Kejriwal, Sisodia, and Sanjay Singh were arrested, that also, he played a crucial role in sort of, giving a permission for an inquiry into it, reports and everything. That entire case sort of was built up during his tenure. So what happened is also that, a lot of powers also shifted in this with the central government bringing in a new bill. So effectively what happened is the entire top bureaucracy of Delhi that reports straight to the LG. In effect, I'm just oversimplifying it, but that's the end result of it. Their appraisals, their transfer posting, everything is with the LG. So there is the policy paralysis we have seen over the last 2 years with a lot of schemes being stopped. So if you ask me what went wrong with that background, I will say that other reporters from our team also went to the ground, and including me, you talk to anyone, people will be complaining about, the water which is not good, or the water is not being supplied, or the condition of the roads, or the condition of the sewers. So this is something very basic to a person's existence, and across constituencies this was an issue. So I would say there was a policy paralysis because of the friction that's happened between the center and the state, and people really voted for that. I mean, if you look at Narendra Modi's speeches, the core of the speech was about promising development and calling out the AAP for not giving a development, and
In fact, Mr. Modi, in a tweet just a few minutes back, has actually said exactly what you are saying. He said, "Development wins, good governance triumphs." But Nikhil, I have to commend you, because in your story, you had captured how the mood had shifted within the AAP camp, and how Arvind Kejriwal was campaigning far differently this
Yeah,
time.
exactly. So what you need to understand is also that the AAP is sort of walking into this election on the back of historic mandates. Like 2015, they won 67 out of the 70 seats. In 2020, they stood for re-election. They won 62 out of the 70 seats, and they're very confident. But what we did, what the analysis that Shobhana just mentioned is about, we compared the campaigning style of Arvind Kejriwal in 2020 compared to 2025. And there's this line that really sticks with me was, in 2020, the election was just announced by the chief election commissioner, and Kejriwal was held a press conference, and he said in Hindi that, if I've worked, then vote for me. If I've not worked, don't vote for me. This is something that was in January 6th, 2020, and the election was in February 8th, if I believe. So that entire 1 month, that one line was repeated at interviews. And even after they won the election, leaders used to say that, see, this is Kam Ka Rajniti, the politics of work. We were so confident that we asked people to not vote us if we have not worked. Fast forward 5 years, in 2020, that line not only just disappeared from Kejriwal's messaging, what happened was also it was replaced by this line, that galat button mat lagana, like don't press the wrong button. So he repeats it as many as 12 times or 15 times in an election speech of 23 or 25 minutes, and tries to sort of inject a fear of what will happen if the BJP comes to power. He will say, don't press the wrong button, else your free electricity will be gone. Don't press the wrong button, your free water will be gone. You'll be made homeless. The people who are living in slums will be made homeless. So I felt, we captured it also in our stories that there was this underlying message of fear that the Aam Aadmi Party was sort of trying to instill in the voters. And it was not that sort of a confident Kejriwal we saw this year also compared to 2023. And also the desperation of the Aam Aadmi Party also. Last time they announced their manifesto is called Kejriwal's Guarantees. They announced it somewhere in January, if I'm not wrong, and they just continued and campaigned just with that. But this year, if you see, every other day he will make new promises. He would instead of releasing a manifesto, they would say one promise a day. And even after the manifesto is finished, they would say, we are promising something for the dobbies. We are promising something for the students. We are promising something for tenants. So it sort of felt that they were really insecure about it, and they wanted to go all out and campaign more or promise them more. And even that showed in Kejriwal's campaign also. I mean, the last Sunday before the voting, Kejriwal didn't go out campaigning in other constituencies or anywhere in Delhi, and he was actually going door to door and doing sort of marches on the foot within his assembly constituency. That sort of showed that they were also expected a very close fight, but they didn't expect the fight to be this
But
strong.
while we do this analysis, we also have to remember the vote share difference between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party is just roughly 2%. So it's not like the Aam Aadmi Party starters have en bloc deserted them. But my specific question to you is, and before after you answer this, we will move to Satvika. Do you think it was wrong on Kejriwal's part to delay his resignation after he was arrested?
I think that also affected works. Like we have also written stories about how since Kejriwal was in jail, they couldn't hold a cabinet meeting. Since a cabinet meeting couldn't be held, a lot of things couldn't be passed at that time. So that I would say added to the already existing problem of works being affected with Kejriwal behind in jail and not holding cabinet meetings. I felt, this is my feeling is that it just intensify that problem in the people. One more interesting thing that people were also telling me is that, that I talked to a lot of workers from the Aam Aadmi Party who were, sort of came here to celebrate today. And they were telling me this, I mean, this is workers from different states, from UP, Rajasthan, and talked to someone from UP, Rajasthan, one more state, Punjab, who had come here to campaign for the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, saying me that, the leaders have lost the connect with the workers. There's a lot of people around the leaders now. We cannot access the leaders directly, and the Aam Aadmi Party will have to really, really go back to their 2010, 2013 mode, where they were actually on the street. All the leaders were on the street, and not seen as sitting in the ivory towers.
Okay, that is interesting. Obviously, now let us move to Satvika Mahajan. Satvika has followed this election very, very closely, and we've had daily conversations and a few bets that we will not talk about on air. But Satvika, obviously, give us the sounds and the sights from the BJP office. What did it look like?
Hi, Shobna. So obviously the BJP was in the mood to celebrate today. It's a win for them after 28 years in Delhi. That's a huge, huge time gap that they've not been in power for. I think there were crackers, there was colors everywhere. Uh, the cadre was shouting Jai Shri Ram repeatedly. We saw cutouts of Kejriwal being hit with a slipper at some point, visuals of which are on our social media platforms. And the senior BJP leadership went into a huddle early in the morning. They were in the lead at that point as well, but as and when the results started taking shape and the victory for the BJP was in the clear, the senior leaders stepped out of their party office. They joined in the celebrations. We could see BJP flags everywhere, and they made the journey to the National Party headquarters, where Prime Minister Modi is set to address the BJP workers shortly now.
So, what worked well for BJP? Because I have to also set the context for this question. Because when the campaign began, it looked like BJP was a very fragmented party. You had Parvesh Sahib Singh Verma, and at one place you had Ramesh Biduri speaking giving all sorts of interesting and colorful sound bites. And there seemed to be too many power centers. They did not, one basic criticism against them was that they did not have a face. It was, in fact, Aam Aadmi Party even put out posters saying Arvind Kejriwal versus who. So considering that is the place that they started from, so what went right for the BJP?
I think one thing that the BJP did right this time was they managed to dent this clean image of the Aam Aadmi Party and its supremo Arvind Kejriwal. For the last 2 years, we've seen them repeatedly attack the AAP on issues such as the excise policy and the Sheesh Mahal. Something very interesting that a BJP.
You need to explain Sheesh Mahal. We should not assume that everybody knows that.
Yeah, I was just coming to that. So something Sheesh Mahal is basically a moniker that the BJP has termed for former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's former residence at civil lines. According to the BJP, or according to several videos that they've floated, the house has been decked up with some of the most extravagant items, and they've spent, according to allegations from senior BJP leaders like Amit Shah and JP Nadda, they've spent over 200 crores on the house, right? So something a BJP leader has told, like something BJP leaders has repeatedly said, that this was one of the downfalls of the AAP. Even a common man understands that what is the cost of a curtain and how much is it going into the Sheesh Mahal space that they've used. Other than that, I think for BJP, they use the strategy of keeping AAP leaders restricted to their own constituency, something Nikhil has spoken earlier about. We saw Arvind Kejriwal fighting on last Sunday within his own constituency because Parvesh Sahib Singh was giving him a tough fight. We also saw Atishi limited to her own constituency for a very, very long time. And then there are other senior leaders. We've seen Manish Sisodia, who shifted from Patpatganj to Rangpura, right? So that worked from them. Another key thing, I think, the AAP was fighting on this narrative that if BJP comes to power, they will stop the welfare schemes in Delhi, such as free electricity, free water, free bus rides, right? And this is a narrative that we've seen BJP repeatedly say that we will not stop it. You do not, please do not believe the AAP. And I think we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi repeatedly reassure people that we will not stop these schemes, we will not demolish houses. And I think that really worked in the BJP's favor
And
this
not just
time.
that, there was competitive populism for every scheme and every offer that the Aam Aadmi Party made. BJP upped it.
Absolutely. Like with women, they've while the AAP offered 2,100, I believe the BJP was offering 25,000. And I think another thing that really worked in the BJP's favor was the promise of a double engine government. Like Nikhil earlier said, that for the last few years we've seen policy paralysis, right? But with the LG, with a government and in the center and in Delhi, I think Delhi believes that it will get the development it deserves. Prime Minister
It will get
Narendra
its
Modi.
works done.
Hmm. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has repeatedly said Delhi deserves to be a capital of the Viksit Bharat that we're seeing. So I think that's what the voters of Delhi banked on this time.
Satvika, we come down to one essential question about the BJP is, I mean, the fact that they keep bragging, all their leaders keep bragging that we are a party that works uh, all the 365 days, 24 by 7. So, talk us through the campaign details. How long have they been working at on this election? How many rallies were held by the Prime Minister, Home Minister, Chief Ministers, former Chief Ministers, and what kind of micro canvassing did they do?
So for the BJP, I think the Delhi BJP president Virendra Sachdeva actually had announced the poll bugle the day after BJP registered 7 victories in the Lok Sabha. He promised then and there that we will bring a Delhi double engine government in Delhi, right? And since then, we've seen sparks of their campaign slowly, slowly, slowly. Right? They started with door to door campaigns, a strong point for the BJP and a traditional campaign setup for the party. They had their Panna Pramukhs on ground since early November, December, and we saw approximately 4 rallies from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, two ahead of the campaign, the election being announced, and two later, and one he did with the cadre of the BJP, trying to encourage them to bring more and more people. As for the Home Minister, the former Chief Ministers, I think Mr. Amit Shah, the party president, JP Nadda, all addressed over 15 to 20 rallies each, especially in the last 10 days. I think BJP alone in the last 10 days had approximately some 200 to 250 roadshows, rallies, Jan Sabhas. Other than that, I think the cadre was hitting the ground every day. We could see them reaching booth to booth, which really worked for their favor. We had some of the most senior BJP leaders, state CMs from Assam, UP, Uttarakhand, Haryana, coming to Delhi repeatedly and reminding the people of Delhi that here's what has BJP made possible in our states, and BJP will make these things possible in Delhi as well, and get you to again a developed Delhi.
Right. Thank you, Satvika. We will be coming back to you with a very important question. But before that, I want to go to Jaideep. Jaideep has had a bird's eye view on this election, and also he looked closely at Congress. So Congress has drawn a blank once more, and we expected Congress to sort of Congress's aim was to sort of repeat its 2013 performance, but nowhere close, right?
I think the Congress really fought hard this election. It started in November, December when the AAP and the BJP was sort of still figuring out things. Devendra Yadav, who had taken over as Congress president, uh, toward all 70 constituencies in the capital, and it was on the lines of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. They were going having little sabhas, spending the night with various groups of people, trying to understand what was happening in Delhi. And what it actually did was that it enthused the Congress cadre, which was they were just coming out of a Lok Sabha election where they saw Arvind Kejriwal in one vehicle going with the Congress candidate sitting behind, and they were not really understanding, where they stood at this place because although the India Alliance was active at the national level, the Congress worker was a bit confused because at you remember it's the Congress that actually made the first complaint in the Delhi alleged Delhi liquor scam. So one day you're out in the streets protesting against the Aam Aadmi Party, then you have Kejriwal and the Congress candidate campaign together. So I think it was that confusion that the Congress really wanted to remove from their workers' minds. I don't think they fought it very strategically, given the binary that's turned out to be right now. I don't think they didn't really strategize. They just went all out and fought. Um, Rahul Gandhi coming in, doing a couple of Jan Sabhas, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra coming in and doing road shows that actually lit up the area. There were a lot of people coming out to listen to her, see her, and they were sort of banking on nostalgia of saying that Sheila Dikshit's Congress, the Delhi that Sheila Dikshit was developing has been stopped, and they were throwing out examples of how a lot of things had been stopped by the AAP. They also attacked both the BJP and Kejriwal. I think Rahul Gandhi in his first two rallies was not going all out attacking him, but then that sort of switched towards the last couple of rallies.
He
Um,
skipped a couple of rallies also, no? Rahul Gandhi skipped.
he was unwell in the middle, so there were these three rallies that he had consecutive days, which he did skip, but he sort of made up for that. But if you see if the results are still coming in, but the Congress's vote share is 6.36%, which has gone up from a 4.3% in 2019, 2020. So 2020 assembly. Um, so there has been a marginal increase uh, from the 10% which it was at in 2015. But if you look at the scenario of what if there was an alliance, right? Uh, in Kejriwal seat, the New Delhi seat with Kejriwal lost by 4,089 votes, and Sandeep Dikshit polled 4,568 votes. So
Yeah.
although the margin of, I mean, the consequence of it is, well, now.
Yeah,
uh,
Sandeep Dikshit avenged his mother's defeat at the hands of Arvind Kejriwal.
Yeah, exactly. So, also, there are not too many constituencies where the Congress has come in second, but one particular contest was Kasturba Nagar, where uh, Abhishek Dutt, who was a former councillor, was fighting from Kasturba Nagar, and he's managed to come in second place. I think that Abhishek Dutt was also not so much because of his party, but because of his own. It was his own personality and his own sort of campaign that he ran. That the Congress was in second place in that seat. But otherwise, yeah, enthused workers maybe happy that the AAP has been defeated, and it
At
probably
least
will.
Congress
Uh,
sees an opening for itself in the next
yeah,
election of coming
yeah.
days.
Apart from India Alliance, they've avenged Sheila Dikshit's defeat, I guess,
Yeah,
as in the
thank
results have. Yeah.
Thank you, Jaideep. I will now go to Srinivasan Ramani. In this election, Srini, middle class voters and the Purvanchali, these two themes seem to be sort of the enduring themes that run through the election. So we will take both the things one by one. Let's first come to middle class, considering the fact that just before Delhi went to poll, the union budget announced. Tax cuts, which really affected the middle class. Do you see this election as an election where the middle class chose BJP over and above Aam Aadmi Party?
Yeah, I'll put it this way: there was a secular loss of vote for for the Aam Aadmi Party across sections, may it be the poor, middle, rich class segments. Actually, we have crunched these numbers based on property-based data for MCD wards. Based on that, we have correlated that with voting patterns and tried to find out how each party has performed. And what we noticed was that the BJP has won close to 47% of the vote among middle class, which is a 7 percentage point increase. It won 53% in richer constituencies, which is almost a 10 percentage point increase. And among the poor, it won 49%, which is again a 10 percentage point victory. And it did not do particularly well only in the poorest constituencies. And by poorest, I mean those constituencies which have large slum clusters, Juggi Jhopdi clusters as they call it. Only in those places, the BJP did not really manage a big increase. On the other hand, the AAP declined in almost every other segment, right? So we cannot necessarily say that only the middle classes shifted away from the AAP, but rather the support the support for the AAP, which was very high, more than 50% in 2020 elections, that fell dramatically this election across sections. It was more so in among the rich, close to 12 percentage points shift away from the AAP, and also among the poor, close to 11 percentage points among the poor. Even among the poorest, the AAP suffered 8 percentage point drop. Now, who gained among the constituencies which are where the poorest people are? Where the voters were among the poorest, the shift was particularly higher in places where there was a high Muslim population. So, in places where the Muslim population was more than 25%, the others, which included parties like AIMIM, they won close to 8 percentage points more. The Congress also made a good increase. They won 4 percentage points, while the Aam Aadmi Party dropped nearly 11 percentage points. So what has happened is, this is how I read the election. I can't necessarily see this as only the middle class shifting their support to the BJP, but rather the AAP losing votes across sections, and more particularly, the party was very strong among the poorest and the poor, and even in those segments they have lost. Among the constituencies where the poorest people are more concentrated, the Muslim vote in particular has shifted away from the AAP, and that has hurt them badly. So that's how I see the elections.
Right. Srini, I think you need to decode for us this whole Purvanchali vote bank, considering we've not had census since 2011. We don't have any statistics that we can actually, authentic statistics that we can rely on. And yet this conversation keeps coming back to Purvanchali vote bank. Is it one class? Is it, or are there sort of several layers to Purvanchali? Can it be treated like a monolith? And do we have any credible information as to where this vote bank went?
See, we can say that Purvanchali voters are more concentrated in Northeast and East Delhi. That's all I can say. Now, there is speculation that there are certain constituencies which have a higher number of Purvanchali voters, and political parties are cognizant about that, and they have fielded more Purvanchali candidates. But without accurate census information, it's difficult for us to speculate. That said, if you look at it regionally, right? If I look at the Delhi Assembly elections in terms of regions, if I look at Northeast Delhi and Delhi in particular, East Delhi in particular, in these two regions, the Aam Aadmi Party had close to 50% of the vote in East Delhi and close to 52% of the vote in Northeast Delhi in 2020. That's a significant number. This time it has fallen to 42.6 and 44.8. Close to 8 to 9 percentage point drops in those two regions, that is East Delhi and Northeast Delhi. And these, if you look at East Delhi and Northeast Delhi and look at the constituencies, like in Northeast Delhi, I would have Burari. I would have. Let me just 1 second. I'll just clarify which are the constituencies that I consider as Northeast Delhi. Yeah, in Northeast Delhi, I look at Burari, Timarpur, Simapuri, Rohtas Nagar, Silampur, Gokalpur, Mustafabad, Karawal Nagar, and so on. And in East Delhi, I would say constituencies like Okla, Trilokpuri, Patparganj, Lakshmi Nagar, Jangpura, and so on. Now, if you look at these constituencies alone, the AAP has lost close to 9 percentage point votes, right? and the BJP has also equally gained there. So AAP has lost 9 percentage point votes in Northeast Delhi. BJP has gained 8 percentage points. So clearly, the loss from the AAP has moved directly to the BJP. In East Delhi, again, the BJP has gained only 4 percentage points, while the AAP has lost 8 percentage points. That's because of the Muslim vote. The Muslim vote has moved away from the AAP towards other parties and the Congress, right? So we can say that constituencies where we think that there is a high population, Purvanchali population, keeping in line with the other constituencies and other classes, there has been a movement away from the AAP to the BJP. So we cannot specifically say that the Purvanchalis were the only one segment to move away from the AAP, but we can say that just as many sections moved away from the AAP, the Purvanchalis also moved in a significant way, that is close to 9 percentage points.
Okay,
Does
very
it answer your
interesting.
question? Yeah.
Yes, it does. It does. I hope we get a census soon and we have an authentic data to make such analysis. Srini, I'll probably come back to you in a bit, but let me go back to Satvika for a very important question, which I believe everyone in Delhi is asking. I hope you have an answer, Satvika. Who will be the Delhi chief minister?
Unfortunately, Shobna, I cannot answer that for you right now. But we are from the BJP office. We're hearing a strong name, like strong contender that could be is Parvez Sahib Singh. He has defeated the former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in his own constituency from a very small voter margin, 3,000, as Jaideep earlier said. We also have the 4,000. I'm so sorry. Yes. We also have the former leader of opposition from the BJP who's won his seat from Rohini yet again, Vijendra Gupta, as one of the contenders. Another thing that I have constantly picked up at the BJP office is that instead of looking at a strong face, they might be looking at a strong theme that will support their overall motive or agenda as the party. So we have the Bihar elections coming up shortly. And as we've talked about earlier as well, that we're seeing a really strong push for the Purvanchali voters this time. So the BJP might decide to announce a Purvanchali face as well. We have Abhay Verma. He was also one of the former sitting MLAs from one of the Purvanchali faces. We have a lot more. We have Kapil Mishra in the contest this time. So we have a bunch of names that are interesting, but BJP has always been elusive until the very last minute to declare their CM face. We saw this happening in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand. They've always surprised us. So we're looking closely at the party right now to see who they're gonna elect eventually, who they're gonna choose eventually. But as of now, we have no confirmation on whom will be the CM face for BJP.
Okay. Very interesting. We shall keep an eye on that very question. But now I'll be joined by Nistula Hebbar, our political editor, to answer what are the future implications of these results and how do you see this is amazing for BJP. I mean, after the setback in the Lok Sabha election, in 3 consecutive assembly elections, they have registered a victory. So obviously, they have a lot to cheer on.
Yes, well, BJP has always been very good in terms of learning from their mistakes. And I think the loss of political authority that came with 240 seats, the loss of a parliamentary majority, single party majority, I think that rankled a lot. And I think they really put their nose to the grindstone this time. They've also won the bypoll in UP, which is a very significant grudge match between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP as well. Delhi, in fact, being half a state, punches way above its weight in terms of national politics. We saw the decline and fall of the UPA government starting from that Delhi election where the Aam Aadmi Party kind of made its debut. And the Aam Aadmi Party's fall also will have that kind of a ripple effect on national politics. The first very obvious ripple effect, of course, is going to be on the oppositional grouping. It's now very clear that the India bloc it was a parliamentary sort of alliance. It cannot work, and it hasn't, in fact, in terms of assembly elections. In Maharashtra, it was the MVA which fought. It was not the India bloc that fought. It was a previously existing alliance that fought that election. They didn't win as well. And if you watch social media as keenly as perhaps I do, you saw that Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister immediately kind of put out a very snarky sort of a post on X saying "Aur lado" and put out some memes
Yeah,
and
with a
things
very
like that.
interesting
Yeah,
GIF.
yeah. And the Congress has been very clear that, say, in Haryana, where they were strong, they didn't want the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party returned the favor in Delhi, whereas the second part of this national ripple is going to be felt in Punjab, because there the Congress feels that the Aam Aadmi Party's decline in Delhi will have direct repercussions within Punjab, because it will lead to some sort of a tussle for a big leadership position. Who will be the supremo of that party? Because there is a sitting chief minister from that party, Bhagwant Singh Mann, in Punjab. So there is a lot, apprehension. There's going to be a lot of toing and froing, and that Congress can step into that breach. There is some anti-incumbency, etc., and they can step into the breach when that state goes into polls in 2027. This is the second bit. First, the India bloc kind of it being proven that the India bloc does not work in assembly elections. So you'll see that next year. I think even in West Bengal, this kind of fight among parties, etc. The second is, of course, as I said, about Punjab. The third very interesting bit that I feel on a larger policy level that I feel this will have an effect on is on the question of welfare giveaways and welfare promises. Now, everybody is on that same plane. Everybody is making promises, from BJP, which kept saying that, we stay away from this and bravery and things. They also said it, and they said, look, we cannot take away welfare giveaways once they have been, accepted by the people. So Prime Minister had to say again and again that, he will not be reversing any of the former Delhi government's free power and free water, and, programs, etc. The BJP coins it as being that once you give a welfare benefit to a particular class of society, then it is looked at as a right. And politically, you cannot be seen as the party which is withdrawing a right from the people. So that is here to stay. Welfare politics, income support, DBT, all of these things are here to stay. What this election has shown is that there is a nuancing of these promises. The electorate looks at it very closely. They're no fools. They will look at who has a better track record of delivering on this, who can work their finances in a way that they will be getting those benefits. B, welfare alone is not enough. You have to give some basic governance as well. So Aam Aadmi Party gave free electricity and water, some healthcare, some education reforms, etc. But the sewage and the roads, the quality of the air, the quality of the river, all of these things were also this thing. So it has to be a welfare plus governance. Identity politics, of course, is there. But in a city like Delhi, which has people from across the country here, this is the best, I suppose, way of looking at how welfare politics has now reached to a level A+1 in terms of national politics.
Right. Thank you, Nistula. That is interesting. I think Srini also wants to come back to speak about this, to take it from what you were just mentioning about competitive welfareism. Srini, how do you see this panning out?
I completely agree with Nistula. If you think if the opposition party's ploy was to defeat the BJP on the plank of welfare, that plank has run its course now. You can't just out welfare the BJP anymore. That's clearly the message that we are getting from recent elections, assembly elections in particular. One thing that distinguished the AAP from other political parties is that AAP did not want to ideologically take on the BJP. They wanted to keep it as a battle of personalities and a battle of who is going to deliver well on welfare. And that kind of a strategy, I don't think is going to do well for parties like the AAP anymore, because what has happened is that the BJP has developed across India, in particularly in North and the West, a dedicated cadre base and a dedicated support base of anywhere between 33 to 40%, right? At 30 to 40%, which is ideologically motivated to support the BJP. Now, what the AAP has tried to do is that it has tried to consolidate the others from beyond this 30 to 40% by looking for welfare. But when both the parties like BJP and the AAP are all offering the same, then what happens is that among the rest of the 50, there would be 8 to 10% votes, which may shift to the BJP, expecting welfare because of the idea of having a friendly government at the center, the fact that there has been stasis in governance in Delhi for quite some time. So that 10% vote that shifted from the AAP could have shifted for these reasons, right? So the lesson that the AAP has to learn is that you need to also have an ideological core. You cannot just suggest that I would be providing these giveaways and I'll do it better, and therefore you have to vote for me. You should have something to take on the BJP in terms of ideology. Now, you could say that the Congress has it, and why hasn't the Congress managed to do that? That's because the Congress doesn't have any organization worth its name to take on the BJP except for the message. So wherever regional parties and the Congress there is a confluence of the message and the ideology. That's where the India bloc actually is more stable. Like for example, in Tamil Nadu, you have the DMK-led alliance, where you have an ideological cohesion between the DMK and the Congress, both in terms of what kind of welfare measures they offer to the public, but also they have an ideological coherence in terms of where they position themselves vis-a-vis the BJP's majoritarian politics, and that distinguishes them very clearly from the BJP. And that is possibly the case even in West Bengal, right? But unfortunately, in Delhi, the AAP has not managed to do that. It thought it could harp on the same message that it gave in 2015 and 2020, and believe that it'll be able to win again. But considering the experience of the last 3-4 years, where there was a stasis in governments with both the chief minister and the deputy chief minister being arrested, and as our reporters pointed out, cabinet meetings were not properly held. These things matter, right? The AAP could come and say that it's not their fault. It was the BJP that put the spanner in the works. But for the people, what matters is performance on the ground in terms of how it delivers on governance, and they are not particularly bothered about.
And frankly, any chief minister who's been arrested, few in the past, under this central government itself, whoever has been arrested, they've actually come back and done better, because they did bother to resign, did take that position, and said that yes, I do feel for the rest of the state, that the state should not suffer just because I have been clapped into jail. So Hemant Soren made a striking comeback because he bothered to put in his resignation and didn't look like he just wanted to play another drama out.
Exactly, and also the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha has taken a very strong, much better ideological position vis-a-vis the BJP, right? There is a distinction as well, and as Nistula points out, if you have to have the moral upper ground, then you have to take the moral upper ground. If you don't take the moral upper ground and just expect people to go along with the strategy of working from jail, that doesn't work. So while this election is still close, the BJP is merely 2 percentage points ahead. The fact that the AAP has lost close to 8 to 10% of its core vote share suggests that it could no longer stand only on the basis of saying that we will come up with better welfare. So that's something that the election clearly points out.
Right, Nistula, before I let you go, I have one last question to ask of you.
Sure.
What are the challenges do you see for the BJP ahead? They keep talking about double engine ki sarkar, as Satvika just spoke, that even picking a chief minister will be quite a challenging task because they'll have to balance.
I think they will try and do a messaging chief minister in terms of community identity and what can be delivered. I think the central government will be more involved in terms of delivery in Delhi itself. I think they're going to do a couple of things very quickly in terms of just hygiene, sanitation, some of these basic things. What I want them to do, first of all, is, of course, on the issue of air pollution. The very air that we breathe, Delhi is poisonous air, and we've all been suffering from the side effects of that.
Delhi's challenge, the BJP's challenge, I don't see so much of a challenge really, because it is an organizationally very, very centrally, very strongly held at the center. So if nothing happened in Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh, I don't think there's going to be any big revolt here. I mean, I think people are just very happy that, they've managed to break a jinx of the last 27, 28 years. Having said that, there are lots of contenders. Pravesh Sahib Singh is a strong contender because, he's a Jat, and that could work for the BJP because they didn't give a Jat chief minister in Haryana. So they could appeal to Haryana. They could, satisfy Jat sentiments in Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, and even some parts of Rajasthan. They could look at somebody from the Dalit community who has won. They've won 3 the seats out of 12 among the SC seats. But then they could also spring a surprise. Delhi's the BJP's core voter is, Punjabi, Bania, the partition migrants who had come into the city, etc. Maybe somebody from there. But I don't think that it is really much of a challenge at the moment. And I think Delhi will be pretty much run from the Home Ministry.
Right. Thank you, Nistula. I think I'll bring back Srini for one last question. Srini, you just spoke about how the Congress has all been about messaging. And one of the messages that we reported extensively from the Lok Sabha elections was that the constitution is in danger, and how the Dalit vote bank voted in favor of the India bloc. So we have to also look very carefully at the Dalit voters and their sort of the choice that they made in this election. Could you take us through the reserved seat overall?
So if you look at the seats reserved for scheduled castes, there the BJP vote share is 43.3%. The Aam Aadmi Party's vote share is 47.1%. Aam Aadmi is actually ahead of the BJP. And the Congress also improved its vote share. It got 7%, close to 3 percentage point more than what it got last time. That doesn't suggest that the people rejecting the Congress is just that they're, among Dalits, the perception is that the AAP is a stronger, opposition force compared to the BJP, and that's why they have, voted more for the AAP. So, but the message is also that among Dalits, you do see that the BJP is slightly behind the AAP, close to 4 percentage points. In the general seats, on the other hand, it's 47.7 for BJP and 43.1% for AAP. So Dalits are one segment where the BJP hasn't managed to really, break the stranglehold of the opposition. If I take the opposition in toto, right? So the messaging that we saw in the Lok Sabha elections, the reason why it's succeeded, that relevance of that message still remains. Having said that, in assembly elections, you can't make these messages. You need to focus on state level issues, and that's where the Congress fails, because it lacks a strong organization that can spread the message across in terms of the groundwork that it has to do to get the voters to vote for it exclusively. That it cannot do because it doesn't have the organization. That's my opinion.
Right. Thank you, Srini. I think I will bring back Nikhil for the last word before we close this conversation. Nikhil, just a few years back, Aam Aadmi Party was celebrating its national status. The Election Commission gave it national party status. It had tried to prop itself as the alternative against the BJP over and above Congress in Gujarat, in Goa. It tried to fight elections in Haryana, although the Aam Aadmi Party's organization was completely subsumed into the Congress in Haryana. But it has been trying to make inroads almost in every state, and it has, though it was part of the India bloc and very uneasily part of the India bloc, there is this whole thing about its national ambitions. So now what happens to that? Nikhil, I think you're on mute. Nikhil, we cannot hear you.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that you need to understand one thing that happened just before this election was Kejriwal, after coming out on bail from Tihar and the so-called Delhi excise policy case, resigned as a chief minister, saying that this is a fake case, but it'll take years to prove it in the court. So I'm going to Janta ki
Adalat.
yeah, people's court to sort of prove my innocence, and same thing happened with Manish Sisodia, and both of them have lost the election. So what this means for the AAP is AAP fights elections on the face value of Kejriwal and in his name. It's not Aam Aadmi Party, it's Kejriwal who is fighting. I mean, he's famously said just in the run-up of this election that Kejriwal is fighting in all 70 seats, and that's what happened. Their manifesto is called Kejriwal's Guarantees.
Something very similar to Narendra Modi, it was Modi ki guarantee. The manifesto was Modi ki guarantee, and it was Modi as the candidate across the constituencies.
So, two things that's going to happen for the AAP from now onwards is they won election in Punjab in 2022 by stating that they're promising the so-called Delhi model of governance. So they have built this narrative that there is a Delhi model of governance where we are giving free electricity for up to 200 units, free water up to 20,000 liters, free bus travel for women, good schools, good hospitals. So now what's going to happen is they can no longer go to any state and say that promise that we are going to give you the Delhi model of governance, because the Delhi model is gone. And second thing that's going to happen is that, the Aam Aadmi Party is quite different from all the other parties we just discussed right now, maybe the Congress, BJP, or the CPIM, because it's the youngest among all these parties. And these are not people who have risen through the cadre, worked for years, sticking the posters and, sort of shouting slogans for their leaders, and then slowly, come up, become a councillor, then MLA, MP, and then become, at the top of the party. It's just people overnight became, the top guns of a political party, which started in 2012 and grabbed power in 2013 for 49 days, then from 2015 to 2020. 5 right now. So now what's going to happen to its MLAs? Are they going to hold on to the party? Because, this is not a regular party where it's risen to the ranks. So the problem for the Aam Aadmi Party, it's on existence also. Like, how many of these people are going to stick with the Aam Aadmi Party? That's going to be the question for me, if you ask me. But I say that with the rider that in the past also senior journalists have given eulogies for the AAP and written obituaries of the AAP, and they managed to come back. So I say that with on the side of caution. But it's going to be really, really difficult for the Aam Aadmi Party to sort of come back from this.
Right. Thank you so much, Nikhil. And I think we've come to a close of our this conversation, and I believe we must have answered all the questions that this election has raised. And of course, the first ripples of this election will be felt on Monday in Parliament, where the mood will be absolutely different. There will be a jubilant the BJP and the NDA, but an equally depressed India bloc. And I believe that knives will be out for the Congress, with the allies blaming the Congress for helping BJP in their victory. But we will watch out for these developments and more. Stay tuned to The Hindu.
दिल्ली वासियों के लिए जो 5 फरवरी को वोट करने जा रहे हैं